Believe it or not, Jurassic Park was released 27 years ago, and for all intents and purposes, it's still a dead-set masterpiece in every way. The story is gripping, the characters are likeable, and the dinosaurs, just look at them. Can you believe this is early 1990s? Look at how well they fit in with the environment, they have a weight to them. They move like actual animals. The level of detail in the muscle and skin. Look at how Spielberg has shot this scene so that the animals seem to exist within this world. It's like he's framed and filmed each shot with them actually there. And heck, sometimes they were. Check out this incredible animatronic. It's to scale, meaning it's the actual size a T-Rex would have been. Perfection. And finally, check out how perfectly the humans interact with the dinosaurs. Unbelievable. Struth, I love Jurassic Park. So you can imagine then how excited I was when the new one was released. Oh man, just think how good these dinosaurs are going to look now with 27 years of technological development. Think about all the exciting new things we're going to see. Let's check it out. Oh, what? What the? Jurassic World was released in 2015 and it did super well and made a ton of money, and I did enjoy it. The beautiful Kualoa Ranch features once again. Chris Pratt is one of the most compelling and likeable modern leading men, and there were some seriously cool moments. But I left the cinema with two thoughts nagging in my mind, and I just couldn't get rid of them. One, is it just me, or do the dinosaurs look noticeably less realistic than they did 27 years ago? And two, haven't we seen all of these moments before? Like almost exactly? Well, I decided to do some science and got investigating. So let's start by having a look at the dinosaurs that are depicted in both Jurassic Park and the modern Jurassic World franchises and see how they stack up. When we see a dinosaur in Jurassic Park for the first time, it's an astonishing moment, and our amazement mirrors that of the characters. Spielberg uses a low angle to emphasise the size of the Brachiosaurus, and his decision to frame it behind some trees, things that we're familiar with, help us to comprehend its incredible height. But what I'm most blown away by though is the movement of this animal. It has weight and it feels tangible. Even the fact that Spielberg cuts out the top half of the dinosaur only adds to the illusion that it's right there in camera and he's having to frame his shots as best as he can to compensate for its size. Yep, the textures in the CGI are slightly lower resolution than we're used to today, but have a look at the creases in its skin and the muscles underneath. The fact that this entirely CGI creature is composited into a real shot of a real location and not a digital set just adds another layer of authenticity. I love the fact that there are no flashy shots in this scene or fast cuts. It's almost bland, and that's why it works. Spielberg allows the Brachiosaurus to do the heavy lifting and inspire awe. He has no need to rely on gimmicks. This is a masterclass in filmmaking. This, however, isn't. Here we have real people in front of a fake dinosaur in front of a fake building in front of a real mountain. Problem is, there's so much digital wizardry that it just feels artificial, that the entire Brachiosaurus fit into that first shot undermines the thrill we should get from its size, and you can tell this shot here is framed around the actors. The dinosaur feels forced into the frame, which in turn makes it seem unrealistic. If there were really dinosaurs in front of you, why would you be more concerned about framing the people? The CGI textures are better, but the movement isn't. It feels unnatural and slow, in a physics challenge manner. The animation is flashier, but it looks digital, and the constantly moving camera is indicative of a director who doesn't trust that the action he's putting on screen is compelling enough to hold our attention. Velociraptor scenes in the original are some of my favourite, a perfect mix between animatronics like this and full CGI like this, and this is great CGI. Again, they just nail the movement, and look at the shading and light reflection on their skin. That Spielberg doesn't allow them to hog all the screen time shows he's putting story before gimmicks, and notice how they're always stalking forward, which creates tension. These raptors are digital, but they don't look it. Jurassic World also gets a lot right with its raptors. They're expressive and beautiful, but they're also undisguisably digital and look it. They just don't look like they're actually in the environment, and all the mid-shots actually make us feel further away from the action because they remove the sense of tension we would get from a longer shot that would allow us to clearly see them closing ground on Chris Pratt. This is one of the best scenes in Jurassic Park, but it's also the one that most shows the infancy of the CGI. If you look at the Gallimimuses, the colour grading in relation to the world around them is just a little off. They're slightly too desaturated for the environment, and though it's quick, the animation and textures you can see when they pass the camera are definitely beginning to age. That said, they still look like actual tangible creatures with weight and presence, and because of this, we can easily forgive the slightly primitive character models. On the other hand, Jurassic World ups the complexity of the CGI, but somehow manages to look less present and unbearably digital. The Gallimimus models are now overshaded and saturated and end up looking like a cartoon. And notice the fancy camera movement that's designed to distract us from it? Ah, the poor old Triceratops. They always seem to get the bung deal. I gotta say that both these scenes are excellent. Jurassic World still has some movement problems, but the colour and shadows are mighty convincing, and most importantly, we feel for these animals. Now, the animatronic in the original, though, is just straight up genius. Notice the details like the tongue moving and the changing pace of its breathing? It's just gorgeous, and boy does it feel real. Alright, I've been putting this one off. Let's do it. T-Rex. Oh yeah. Check it out. So good. So good. So good. What? What? Yeah, buddy, I hear you. I hear you. Alright, so let's have a chat. So what the heck is going on? Why does a film from 1993 look so much better than films from 2015 and 2018 respectively? Well, I think there's three things. Firstly, it's a complete over-reliance on CGI. In the industry we talk about visual effects shots, and that means shots that contain CGI or animated elements. In Jurassic Park, there were 64. In Jurassic World, there's over 2,000. And we have to remember that a visual effects shot in 1993 often involved a single digital element like a dinosaur composited into an already largely complete scene. Nowadays, a visual effects shot tends to be, if not entirely, almost all digital with only a single real element like green screened actors. In other words, yes, modern blockbusters like Jurassic World are more cartoon than anything else, and it shows. That overly perfected digital sheen that we talked about just ruins the integrity and reality of the scene. Secondly, the movement of the dinosaurs. When something moves, it has to convey a tangible sense of weight, scale, and realistic motion. In the original Jurassic Park, the animators studied alligators and based the movement of their 13 digital dinosaurs off of them. Because the technology was new, there were no movement banks to draw from or any sense of, oh, I've done this before and I know what I'm doing, to sully the animators' process. They had to start from scratch, and thus there were no bad habits to fall into. They also had a lot to prove. This clip is one of the first rendered examples from 1992, and let's just say Spielberg was not impressed with the jerky movement. He insisted they get it right or it wouldn't be in the film. Which leads us on to the third thing, Spielberg himself. I don't need to tell you that he's a master director, but one of the things that stands out when you compare the modern films with his 1993 original is his sense of restraint. If the camera moves, it's to track something. It doesn't just move around constantly like it has ADD as we see in the modern films. His framing is also genius, and by that I mean where in the shot he places the different elements. He shoots scenes as if the dinosaurs are actually there. He thinks about the type of shots that would be used if the animals were there on set, and then designs everything around that. Even his use of the 1.85:1 aspect ratio is designed to allow more screen space to emphasize the height and scale of the dinosaurs in relation to the humans and environment. Colin Trevorrow, who directed Jurassic World, is an excellent director, but Spielberg is Spielberg, and boy does it show when you compare the two films. Okay, so now that we've had a bit of a chat about why the dinosaurs don't look as good in the new films as they do in the old one, let me get into the thing that frustrated me most. I came out of the cinema feeling like I'd had deja vu. Nothing was new. All the cool moments just felt like carbon copies of things from the original. So, I went back through both of them to see if I was right. Now, to be fair, there's a big difference between ripping something off and paying tribute, and a lot of the time Jurassic World is clearly doing the latter, so we're not going to focus on all the 100 or so homages to the original. Instead, let's just focus on the good stuff, the T-Rex moments.
we're not careful, they're going to be here after.
So there you go. I dearly love all the Jurassic films, and I have to say that despite me being nitpicky in this video, the visual effects in the modern film are genuinely breathtaking at points, and I fully respect the work of all these incredible animators. And look, in this comparison I am being slightly facetious. There's clearly a lot of tongue-in-cheek nods to the original, but I did find that there's an awful lot of the T-Rex moments that were fairly straight rip-offs. And I think what stood out for me is that it's not just the dinosaur action that feels copied, but also the camera shots and staging. So, do they go beyond tribute, or are they just fun fan service? Well, I'll leave that to you, dear viewer. Oh, but before I go, there was one more thing I noticed about the Jurassic World franchise.
I'm walking away from the troubles in my life. I'm walking away. Oh, to find a better day. I'm walking away from the troubles in my life.